All right, let's try this again. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Okay, what? I didn't see that chat.
Hello, hello. Someone give us a...
Yes, they can hear us now. Hey, Ray. Okay, so we were asking Scott what got him started, so you can start over. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. Now it says we're real loud.
Oh,
okay.
Real loud.
There's no winning.
There's no winning. How's that?
All right, let's go. Test, 1, 2, 3. How is that? Someone give us a rating on a scale of 1 to 5. 1, you can't hear us. 5, we're blasting your ears out. Joe Dryden says 5 by 5.
Okay, we're 5 by 5.
5
okay.
by 5.
Yeah.
All right. So it was back in 1982. We were backpacking in the high country up in Washington, and we were up there mountain goat hunting, and we had a Squatch come in on us at night as soon as we lit a fire, and was screaming at us for like 40 minutes. It was pretty fun. So that's kind of where my first encounter was.
All right, in case you didn't hear, I just realized this. This is Scott from the chat. Remember Scott Goebel from the chat?
Oh, that's right.
In case you didn't hear us. And that's Spike.
Yeah.
What's your relation?
He's my brother.
Brother.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. So Spike's with us from Washington. There's an R in that word.
Yeah. Washington.
So what got you into the Bigfoot stuff, Spike?
My brother. We hunted. He pretty much taught me how to hunt and fish, and he started telling me about some of the events that he came across, and hook, line, and sinker, and here I am.
Right.
Yep.
So you have a Scott. You have a hunting background.
Yes.
Your whole entire life.
My
right?
whole entire life. Yeah.
Yeah. You used to do a lot of bear hunting, right?
A lot of bear hunting, a lot of mountain goat hunting in the high country of Washington, up in the Alpines. And,
Yep.
Pretty much my whole life, elk hunting. Spent most of my life in the woods in my free time.
Okay. So when was your first experience? How long ago?
It was 1982.
82. So
82.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. And then the following year, I was elk hunting up north of, it was just south of Bellingham. And I got to meet Grover Krantz and a bunch of his guys from the University of Washington, that another elk hunter had found some Squatch tracks. And I got to go in with those guys and see the tracks. And I think that was the year after I had the encounter. So that's kind of how I got into Squatch'n.
Oh, wow. So
yeah, I've had several encounters. So.
Okay. So this is kind of a weird thing. So all your time that you spent in the woods hunting, have you ever thought back now that you have saw things? I mean, Spike and I were talking about this earlier today.
Yep.
That's maybe you're like, oh,
Yep.
now I realize what that was.
Absolutely. Trees being pushed over, rock knocks, tree knocks, I mean, I've heard it all, and I never even put two and two together over the years, until just recently. And now it's full bore go.
Yeah.
Which we have been.
And I want to get to that. And so, folks, I want to apologize. And if you didn't see the message last Friday, we didn't do our Footprint Friday because my big fancy editing computer took a dump on me. But what's weird is it didn't work in my camper, but it did work in my son's house. So I don't know what's going on. So it's in the shop right now. Basically, my son's house. He's the computer dude. So we'll get a Footprint Friday up this Friday about our trip in Leavenworth, and then the weekend after, or the next Friday after that, we're going to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And this last few days has been interesting to say the least,
Especially
today.
Yeah.
So throw it a little message in the chat if you ever had a rock thrown at you.
I had a stick. Does that count?
Yeah, Hannah had a stick thrown at her.
Yep.
But
and today Spike almost got beamed with a rock.
Yeah. So what do you think about that, Spike? What
I guess when we were in there, we seen some stuff that we were very interested in, and when we got on out of our side by sides, we started looking, and the next thing I know, I hear this rock smack this tree, and I'm like, that was right at me. Yeah. So that was definitely, it was so distinct, you could not mistake it for exactly what it was. There was no doubt in my mind what it was. And I looked over at my brother and I said, "Did you hear that?"
And I was looking at him.
Yeah, he was looking at me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great experience. Definitely, coming down here late last night and coming out the first time, this morning, and having a rock hurl that was a great experience. Well, a great experience as long as it didn't hit me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's funny. We get a lot of reports of people having rocks thrown at them, but never hit.
Yeah,
it's an interesting thing. They don't hit people with rocks.
Yeah, I definitely. I would say it was definitely a warning. In my opinion.
But there'll be more to come on Footprint Friday.
Yeah, there will be more to come. There's a follow up and a little adventure on that. Yes. But what Spike was alluding to, that what we were looking at is we were on a 4-wheeler trail, and something had woven trees together across the trail to block the road.
Yep.
And there was a few down trees, and you're used to that, that's not a big deal. But we found a spot where they were literally woven together.
Yep. Tons of tree breaks.
Yep. Broke over the road, and then they were woven together, and some trees were packed in and added to it. And that doesn't happen from snowfall or wind or anything like that. It was a little different.
Donald says he's building a rock throwing apparatus.
For what?
He's going to start a rock throwing fight with one of them.
Oh, he did.
Just use a slingshot.
We need to come up with a good name instead of pumpkin chucker, like a boulder
chucker.
Boulder chucker.
Like, I don't know.
So
could you?
I don't know.
Could you use remember when you built the
potato gun?
Yeah, those are fun.
Yep.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Trebuchet.
So I wonder what would happen. Yeah, I wonder what would happen.
Yeah, if we responded back.
If we responded.
Yeah, I think their accuracy might be a little bit. I think their range is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
that rock was moving when.
It was moving. Yeah,
yeah, it hit hard.
I guess the sound. If people think about it, what it sounds like is, instead of like a home run that you hear in a ballpark, picture the baseball player hitting a rock with that bat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it sounded like.
yeah. A definite crack.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a wood knock.
No,
No.
No, that was a rock knock
yeah,
on a
that was-
tree.
yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if a lot of times we think that they use, pick up sticks and to do knocks on trees.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're just slamming rocks up against trees.
That
Yeah.
could very well be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But today was interesting. There's a lot that happened.
Yeah,
And
yeah. We don't want to divulge a lot, but there was a lot.
there was a lot.
that
We gotta
happened.
keep some stuff for like videos.
Okay,
Yes.
so
We saw some weird ass shit out there.
so
We really did.
another weird thing. Yeah,
I had to get it in locked. That
You
was just
did.
for you, man.
yeah.
You got it in,
Yeah.
Anna.
yeah.
Yeah. That was perfect. That was the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So we did have a little bit. Okay, this place up here, I have to say, is weird.
It
I mean,
is.
the scratches here are weird. And you all know that I'm the science guy, and I'm not the guy that's really into the woo stuff, and I try to explain everything with science and
Weird
being
science.
weird science.
Yep.
But if you saw that video I had where we had that light a couple weeks ago up in Leavenworth, Washington, that was one of the first wooey experiences that I really had, other than that night we had when we summoned demons. Apparently,
That was an
locked.
interesting night,
that was
to say the least.
yeah. But so what I'm going to get at today is we set up those rocks and the stumps and stuff. This time we put trail cameras on it. And
Lots of them.
Yeah, and we haven't done that before. And a lot of people, I've got a lot of reports and a lot of things that people say, if you put trail cameras on it, nothing will happen. They will just avoid it and not even try to mess with stuff. But this time we did have the rocks on the stump messed with again with a trail camera on it. So we brought the card back from the trail camera. And if you've ever messed with trail cameras, you'll have two files on the card. One will be the data for the pictures, and the other one will be the pictures. We had data for two pictures that had been shot on that camera, but there were no pictures. Nothing. And I showed it to these guys today, and it's like
There's nothing.
there's nothing. And the data's there that said it took two pictures, but it didn't record the pictures.
Yeah. Well, we've had them up there trigger the motion lights and not trigger the camera. And I had one about a month ago. I stuck a golf ball out there on this one, we call it the playground. Which is,
that area has been dubbed the playground.
The playground.
Yeah.
So I stuck a golf ball out there and a Christmas bow I hung from a tree. I tied it to a limb. And he came in, and I had a trail camera on it. He came in, he took the golf ball, completely gone. It was nowhere to be found. He pulled the ribbon down out of the tree, and there was zero footage on the trail camera. So how does that happen? I have no idea, but it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Kind of like what happened this morning. We got down there, and there was no footage.
Yep. Yeah. Now on the other log, take that back. We did have a rock that was knocked off the log.
Yep.
And we did have the culprit on video.
We did.
Yep.
We did.
Yeah, what do you call those?
It was a pine squirrel.
Pine squirrel?
Yeah, pine squirrel.
That's not what you call. I thought you called them something else.
Well, I did, but I don't want to say it over.
A miniature squirrel squatch.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was, justified, because we got the video of this pine squirrel knocking it off. But the other thing, nothing. And a pine squirrel did not knock off the stump when we saw.
No.
Because it left three rocks stacked.
It stacked the rocks.
Stacked three rocks and moved
three rocks.
And moved three rocks.
Yeah. And originally on that stump there was 12 rocks, and now we're down to, how many was there, Scott? Six total? Six total. So it's taken 6 of the rocks off there, and they're just gone.
Right.
So,
and then a few times those rocks would come back. Remember?
Absolutely. Yeah. The one time they brought one of the flat rocks, they brought it back and they dropped it down inside the stump.
Mhm.
And then when Scott and I went up there this trip, the rock was gone out of the inside of this hollow stump. It was just totally gone. So it had
Mhm.
taken it.
Yeah.
It's just playing. It's playing with us is what it's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Hence the playground.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have quite the setup down there right now. That we have some multicolored golf balls. We've got apples hanging from trees. We have all kinds of things set up and cameras everywhere. So
Yeah.
Wouldn't
let's
it
just
be
see what
fun
happens.
if I could go with you tomorrow?
You can go with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. You and Scott can take my side by side and I'll ride with Spike.
There we go.
Yeah.
After I do my work.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we can go up to that spot. Yeah. Yeah, we were a little worried today when we got up there because somebody had camped out
Yeah.
at
They
the
pulled in
entrance.
there.
Yeah. So, but all in all, there's been very few people up here,
Absolutely.
and this trip,
Few.
it's what's the date? We're like mid September.
Today is September 20th.
Oh, we're into September.
Yep.
And it got what 27 last night. It was cold
Yeah,
up
It
here.
was cold.
Yeah.
It was cold. And
Yeah.
today I think the high has been like 43 or
Yeah.
I'll
44
tell you right
degrees.
now.
Yeah, and it's
it's
been
pretty
spit,
chilly.
Yeah, it's been spit and rain
It's
a little
been-
bit.
High
Off and on
today
today.
was 52.
52 up
I
here.
did feel like it.
Yeah.
It
it
did.
didn't feel like it.
I know.
Especially
The low-
driving down the road in
low
the
is
side
going
by
to be
sides.
34. I think we're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hannah's not a good dry camper.
No, she's
I'm
not.
not a good cold camper.
Cold camper,
There's a
yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
This morning when I woke up and I turned on the furnace in my trailer,
Uh-huh.
it was 41 degrees inside the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
A little
What?
chilly.
what's the elevation here? You got it?
It's about 5,200 feet. I think.
52.
Yeah, where we're at.
So another thing we've been running into this trip, that like last trip, when did we come up here last time? It's been like a month, right?
Well, last time you were up here was
yeah.
in June.
June.
It was in June.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been longer than that. Huh?
Yeah,
June,
for
July,
you.
August,
I've been
September.
up here 3 times since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So keeping an eye on the playground.
Mm-hmm.
But this time's been a little bit different. We have been inundated with wolf tracks that weren't here before,
And bear.
and bear.
Tons.
In fact, today we had an interesting experience.
Yes.
We drove in the trail. We had that experience with the rock throwing, and the other experience, which will not be named,
Which you'll see later.
Which you'll see
On
later.
Bigfoot Friday or Footprint Friday.
Footprint Friday.
That's it.
But on the way out, we found bear tracks on top of our 4-wheeler tracks that we drove in.
Yeah.
Real big.
Real
good
big
sized
bear.
bear.
Yeah,
Good
good
sized
sized
bear.
We have a comment from the gallery.
Okay, what's the gallery?
Locke says, and our apologies, we're far away from the controls, so we are not going to be throwing things up on the screen. But Locke says, assuming rock throwing is really Sasquatch, would you estimate that their throwing ability is closer to human or chimp? Might be useful to indicate when they split from the human lineage. I'm
Ah,
thinking it's more human because their aim is so
Absolutely.
good.
well, their aim
Yeah.
is really good, but here's another thing we get a lot of reports on too, and there was a particular case that, gosh, what's his name? Bill Miller,
Mhm.
and from Canada, Squatcher, God rest his soul, he passed away. But one of the interesting experiences that he had, and they found a huge footprint, is they had a gentleman have a big rock thrown at him.
Yep.
Across a pond.
Yeah.
It came out of the
I've seen
trees,
that.
went across the pond and landed in the water in front of this guy. And when he was interviewing, the first thing he said was it rolling this way or this way?
Yeah.
And the guy had to think for a second. He said, well, it was rolling this way. So it was pitched underhand, because when it was thrown like this, and it was rolling
Yeah.
towards him as it was going towards him.
Mhm.
So it was pitched underhand. We didn't see the rock today. We just heard it hit the tree.
Yeah,
Right.
right. We just heard it hit.
So does
Yeah.
underhand indicate more chimp or more human?
Underhand would be more chimp, because chimps tend to throw things underhanded.
Oh, wow. And another comment.
Another comment?
From Jim. You said you had cameras all over the place. Do you
We
have
do.
cameras facing each other?
We do.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
We do. We have a pretty good setup down there. I think we have 5 or 6 cameras
Cameras.
down there.
Yeah.
We have motion lights down there.
Did you
And,
cover the infrared?
Yeah, so here's what we do. We have a couple cameras set up, just normal, the stealth cams set up, and then I have two sets of my ones where I have the IR lights taped over with the motion sensor lights underneath them set up. Though that worked for us when we were up there before,
yeah, it did.
but the motion sensor light went off, but the camera did not trip. So,
Weird,
but
weird.
we have those facing each other. We've got the stealthy the IR blanked out cameras facing
Yep.
the cameras that are just normally set up.
All
Well,
right.
I'm sure when you do your footprint Friday, you'll show the full setup.
Yes,
that we have
yeah,
down
yeah.
there.
I've got it all. I've got
It's,
it all.
it's pretty covered.
Yeah, it is pretty covered.
So Donna says, before I had my first experience, I found random golf balls on all my hikes in the 5 mile hot zone. Just found one 2 weeks ago. Now I mark them and leave them to find again in different areas.
There you go.
Are your golf balls
Yeah.
marked?
Yep. They
Well,
that
no,
one,
no, they're not. I mean, we didn't put our names on them.
no. These we didn't put any white golf balls out this time.
No.
These are all colored golf balls.
Okay.
They're fluorescent
So
orange. Some of them are half orange, half yellow. Just some fun stuff we put down there.
Mhm.
This young juvenile Squatch, it's up there. It seems like he likes taking things that are white, because he took the white golf ball, he took white rocks, just the white stuff he takes.
Took
So
a quarter.
he did. He took a quarter. He took 2 pennies.
Uh-huh.
So, it's a squirrel's not going to cart
Well, you
off
gotta
a
be-
quarter and 2 pennies.
You
Yeah.
gotta be stocking that stuff these days.
Well,
You
he's going to buy a 27-cent candy bar with it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
When he like jumps through the portal and go back in time, he can buy a
That's
27-cent
right. That's
candy
right. That's
bar.
true.
I'm trying to think. I spent a quarter on a crackle bar when I was 8 years old, and that was
Yep.
1978. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got a quarter sitting on top of a rock pile and a nickel this time. So now he's up. Go up to 30 cents.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
We'll see if he takes it.
Yeah.
So we invest big in this Bigfoot stuff.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay, Charles asks if there are any game cameras you particularly recommend.
I use the ones. Most of the ones I have are called Wild Innovation cameras. That's the brand
Mhm.
that I use. And then I have 2 cameras that we don't have set up down there that we're probably going to take to this other spot.
Yes.
But
Tomorrow.
those 2 I have are Spartan cameras, and they're a little bit different. They actually use cell signal, and they link to each other.
Mhm.
So if one of them doesn't have cell signal, it'll link to the one that does have cell signal, and I can sit here in my camper, and these things can be miles away, and I can look at them on my phone.
Mhm. Yeah, and I use stealth cams.
Yeah,
So,
stealth cams. That's a brand. Stealth
That's a
cams.
brand. And
Okay.
it has a video feedback, so it has a little screen on it, so
Yeah,
you can
so-
actually watch what just happened.
Right. Mine, I have to take the chips out, and they do make ones where those little video cameras that you can plug
Yeah.
in and
Yeah.
check them.
Well, I've
I
got
don't have one.
a little it's a card reader,
Mhm.
and I can plug it into my iPhone, and it'll read it back
Oh,
and
there we go.
download it right on my iPhone. So
Yeah, I
that's
need to
pretty
get.
handy.
Yeah, I need to get something like that.
Yeah.
All right. And Iron Dogger.
Iron Dogger,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah,
That's a new
something
name.
new.
Yeah,
He offers that a squirrel will cart off change easy.
a squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Do
imagine
they
they
have
could.
thumbs? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, we know.
Well, they
crow-
do have hands. I mean,
Yeah, they do have
squirrels-
hands.
Squirrels can help.
And
Yeah.
oh,
But they
ra-
can't run and hang on to it at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
also ravens and crows will.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is true.
but
That is true.
We saw. I mean, we were up here before, and literally nothing. Not a bird chirping.
Not
I never even
one.
saw a. The only thing I saw was one chipmunk. The
Mhm.
last time we were up here in June, there was nothing up here.
Yep.
This time we did see one woodpecker.
Yep.
I know.
Yep.
I guess if you were to say if a squirrel can take off with a quarter or a nickel,
Yeah.
doesn't explain the restacking of rocks.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're bringing
And
those back.
Bringing
Plus,
them
I
back.
want to see a squirrel haul off a golf ball.
Yeah.
Donna
Yeah.
says.
Yeah, no, we don't rule it out that a squirrel could have.
Yeah.
Right.
Donna asks, I wonder what would happen if you leave a doll.
You know, I thought about buying a little Sasquatch doll and leaving up there. You know, that's a good point. I think I'm going to try that. So we do have a little smiley face plastic egg up there.
Yeah.
So, but Scott, you can show them the pictures on
Yeah.
the next video.
Yeah.
Well, it is 25 after.
Oh, it is
So
time for station identification. I can't see that thing here. So it's time to do our little commercial.
by the way, we are using Nomad out here in the middle of the only semi-disclosed location because I disclosed it on Facebook. But anyway,
Is that
we
it?
are rocking with our Nomad internet. And so far, we've been doing this test, Nomad versus Starlink. And so far, Nomad is in the lead.
Absolutely. Here we go.
As we travel and search for Bigfoot, we use a lot of equipment that uses the internet to operate. Also, in our town hall meetings and live streams, we need a reliable connection. We use Nomad Internet. There's a link and discount code below, so join us and have internet access on the go.
I don't have any.
All right. So we're back. So any more questions?
Just Mike Yeager said hi to
Okay.
everyone, and I asked him if he grew up in Yakima, Washington.
Oh.
Because when I was in 6th grade, I crushed on a guy named Mike Yeager. You never know.
You never know
You
if it's
never
the
know.
same Mike Eager.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he and his friend Nick taught me how to swear. The very first time. They were not favorites of my mother.
Yeah.
I heard her swear twice today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so yeah, I used to have the cleanest mouth ever, and then I went to work for child welfare.
Yeah.
2
Oh,
weeks
and hang
in.
around a bunch of old Sasquatch
Yeah.
No,
researchers.
no. Anyway.
No. So, all right. So another thing we've known now that we're back for the last half hour, let's talk about wooey stuff. Okay, just for fun.
Yep.
Okay. If you did see, I think it was the part 2 of our adventure up here a few weeks ago. We did have one thing happen to me that we were filming, and all of a sudden my camera just went dead. And I had 2 spare batteries in my pocket,
Yep.
and both of those were dead too. And I know those were charged before we went out. So we had an interesting encounter that way. That had never happened to me before. I had that light encounter up in Leavenworth, but the first night we were here, I'm blaming Scott. He wanted to sit out.
Yep.
We sat out, reclined our chairs, looked at the stars, and started watching the sky at night. And we saw, what was the list?
Okay. So we saw loads and loads and loads of satellites. We saw loads and loads of planes. And we seen one UFO.
One UFO.
One UFO, and it truly was a UFO.
Meaning you could not identify it.
We could not identify it, and it was doing some awful strange stuff. And
Yeah.
Scott's got some footage of that.
Right. So I had my phone in my hand. Now, I wish I had I didn't have my phone on my tripod. I did last night, and we'll have it up there tonight too.
Yeah.
But so it was handheld, so it was a little shaky. But this light was streaking across the sky. At first, thought it was a satellite.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what happened.
But it was low.
But it was low. It was way
low
brighter.
It was as low as an airplane would fly, not like a satellite.
Right, and
Yeah.
it was just a white light,
Yep, a ball.
a ball. Then it was going across the sky, and then it just kind of stopped, and then it jumped up and it stood
And I
up.
watched the video when
Yeah.
you brought it in, and
Yeah.
it was totally this weird erratic all over, and it wasn't like little erratic, it was like all over the
It was
sky.
all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would dart. It would go do, and then it would go sideways, and then it would stop, and then it would start going just slow, and then it would dart. you
Yeah.
know? So it did a lot of
There
that.
was nothing predictable about its
No,
movement.
there was nothing.
Yep.
Yep, that was interesting.
Yeah. So, are Bigfoot aliens?
Oh, please don't go there.
Yeah. Well, you know, the time when I had my other encounter up here, we did see a UFO that night. You know, when we had Mike Concho with us for you guys.
Yeah.
Remember the video
Yeah.
from
Remember
Mike
the video
Concho?
with
Mike
Mike
Concho.
Concho?
Yeah, we seen actually one go. It was cruising across the sky like a satellite, and then all of a sudden it turned around and did a U screw and went back the other direction. You know, UFO or satellites don't do that.
Yeah.
So that was interesting when I seen that one.
I know.
The other night.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Hopefully tonight we catch some more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna bundle up tonight though.
It was cold
It was
last night.
cold last
Are
night.
you gonna bring the sleeping bags in from the tent?
I think I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 9:30. He says, I'm going to bed.
So anybody in the chat we haven't said hi to?
Oh no, I think we've said hi to
Okay.
everyone. You just need to give them something more interesting to talk about.
UFOs aren't interesting.
Interesting, but,
Alien Bigfoot?
No, we didn't see any aliens.
No,
but-
we did
but
not.
We did have wolves come into our camp the first night we were
We
here.
did.
And there was wolf tracks everywhere. I have pictures of a wolf track right next to my pickup. He went up and sniffed my pickup and then turned around and took off.
Mhm.
You know, and this area up here is just I'll bet you we probably seen 100 wolf tracks today at least. Didn't
At
we,
least,
Scott?
yeah. Yeah, and we had
there were wolf tracks everywhere.
Yeah, and in the first morning we got up when we had the one by your truck.
Yep.
There was wolf tracks all over our wheel tracks on the road that came in.
Yep.
We had wolf tracks on top of those
From the night before.
from the night before.
Mhm. You know,
So Donald says, I had a light like that the other night, but I found out what and who it was. Tell us, Donald. Tell
Yeah.
us. What did you find out about your weird light?
Yeah, don't be vague. Yeah. So we can talk a little bit about that weird light that I saw. I don't know if you've
Outside
ever
of
seen any
Leavenworth.
weird light. Oh, you've got a weird light story
I
too.
got a weird light.
Yeah. So
Washington.
the one we saw that I did the video on already, that you saw up in mine was in Washington too.
Mhm.
Near where were we?
Leavenworth.
Yeah, but we were actually up in the mountains. I forgot what forest that was. That's
Mm.
north of Plain. There's a town called Plain, Washington.
Yep.
It's a great town.
It's a great town. They have like 3 stores in there. They got the Plain Grocery, Plain
That's up in your
Hardware.
neck of the woods,
Yeah,
brother.
it is.
What?
Yeah, that's up in his neck of the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their coffee's gone downhill over there.
Yeah.
It's good.
But we were up in the mountains just north of Plain, up there, and we were actually following up on a guy who actually had a sighting up there, which was really interesting. I'll tell you about that too. But so at night, I was getting ready to go to bed, and I just glancing out through the trees, and this light came on out in the forest. Yeah. And I thought, who's walking out there with a flashlight? You know, because there was nobody out there. We had just hiked out there and came back before it got dark, and we had a couple cars go by, but,
Yeah, but
they
this
didn't
was,
stop.
This was on the other side where the only way into that forest was if you
Walk through our camp.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was like because we were camped here, and you walk through the forest, and there's a cliff.
Yeah,
So yeah, you're not going to get random people just coming from that direction.
yeah. Unless they're rock climbers.
And who is it that doesn't believe in the woo?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
So anyway, this light comes on, and then it goes out, and it comes on and goes out. And if you watch the video, you can go back and watch it, but I'll put a link. So I tried to film it the best I could with my phone. So I actually was holding my phone up against my chest like this, so I knew where my hands were, and then I actually scraped the ground with my feet, so I knew where my feet were, and I just held my camera there, and it went off, and then it came on, then it jumped sideways about 50 feet, went off, and came back on over here, and
We have a visitor.
yeah, and I didn't know what was going on. So I went back the next morning and took a picture standing in the exact same spot with my hand in the same place. Took a picture of the forest where I was looking at, and I put a dot on the picture what you were looking at. So this was not very far from me, and it was about my height.
Mhm.
probably maybe 50 yards from me. So that's something I can't explain. And if you guys have any ideas, please throw it
We
in the
do
chat.
have some comments.
Okay.
All right. So we have Donald says his was a drone being flown by the authorities.
Oh, it was a drone being flown by the authorities.
And Jim wants to know, could it possibly be drone? Could
A drone? Not in this.
It was a round light.
It was one, it was a round light, and two, it was in thick forest at night. I know some drones do have that avoidance thing, and they can fly them through trees, but I would have heard it because I was 50 yards away from it. I would have heard the hum of the
And what about your weird light from last night
what would like
or the night before?
The UFO?
The UFO
UFO,
or the UAP.
UAP, yeah,
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah.
That's what they call them now.
Because they changed the name and that answers all the questions, right?
That's right.
We don't
That's
know
right.
what this is, so we're going to change the name.
Yeah,
But it definitely was a UAP,
yeah,
no doubt.
yeah. But it was way up in the air.
Ben would like to know that completely changing topic here, folks.
Ben
Sorry.
Celine. Oh, by the way, Ben, I got your message, and Ben Celine.
Yes.
Yeah. Or by the way, Ben, I got your message, and I haven't got back to you yet, but I will. I just haven't had time.
Okay. So Ben asks, I have a question. What good camera to use for filming? I've been trying to figure something better since I had pretty interesting experience the other weekend. What has been the best thing you've used for filming, sir? Sir, who has spent so much money on fancy dancy camera equipment?
Yeah.
Tell them what you're filming with now.
Yeah. So I have $1,000 Canon camera in here.
That sucks.
That sucks. So
I use a GoPro.
yeah. So Ben, if you want something inexpensive, GoPro is actually a good thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a good way to go.
And
I've
if
used the
you feel
GoPro
like-
for a while.
And if you feel like selling your soul to US Cellular,
Yeah. So we'll answer Ben's question, then we'll get back to Scott's light. All right. So this here, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. That's what I filmed the light with. This has a 20 power zoom on it. And I showed Scott the other night.
Amazing.
It's got a night vision camera on it.
Amazing.
That's amazing. It's actually better than my FLIR.
Yeah.
So
makes all of his expensive equipment kind of obsolete.
it makes all this equipment obsolete. I've been using this all weekend. It films in 8K.
And it is just beautiful video.
Just beautiful video.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
So
amazing.
believe it or not, technology's got to the point where I could throw that. Well, I'm not going to throw the $1,000 camera away, but this here is taking over the whole thing. So Galaxy S23 Ultra.
You've almost convinced me to get rid of my iPhone.
Yeah.
Almost.
They've come out with the fancy new dancy thing like the iPhone 15.
Yeah.
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 So if you look on the back of this, it's got 4 cameras or 5, and it also has an IR light on it. So for the night vision.
And it takes amazing
See,
pictures of the sky
Guy at night.
at night. Oh,
Yeah, Ben
On
says
time
he's got.
lapse.
Yeah, Ben says he's got that phone. He just hasn't figured out all the stuff on it yet.
Okay.
So maybe
Call me Ben, or I'll call you sometime. I think
you know what he's done. He's YouTubed it. He
Yeah.
has YouTubed how to use his phone. It's
Yeah.
true. So we have some more things here
Okay.
before we get back to the light
Get back to the light.
or whatever.
Don't go to the light.
Are the deer in this area being decimated by wolves?
Yes, they are. Yeah, deer and elk. We've seen a lot of deer and elk sign up here this weekend, but we have not seen one deer or one elk. Just tons of wolf tracks. I mean, they're pushing all the critters around, keeping them off of the main thoroughfares. We haven't seen any. So I know they are decimating them.
That's something that's interesting that I just realized in my head. I don't think we've seen any deer or elk poop.
Well, except for the one I had in my hand today.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well, there was that. But no, really, usually you see deer droppings
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, no, there's
And-
not.
but we saw a lot of dog poop
Yeah.
and
Lots
some
of-
bear poop.
Lots of
I
bear
saw
poop.
some deer, probably deer or elk down by the river.
Yep.
When I walked out there,
Yep.
but just one little pile. It wasn't much.
But the amount of wolves that's up here, what the state says that we actually have up here, I'll tell you what, they gotta, if we've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of wolf tracks. I mean, everywhere we went, haven't we, Scott?
Mhm.
Every lake we went to, they've been at every single pond, lake, you know, when we walked around them looking for, you know, squatch tracks, there's wolf tracks. They're just everywhere.
Mm.
Yep.
So now, and then Donald wants to know, did the authorities show up? I think it was just
For
a
what?
bow hunter over there, right?
Oh no!
Oh no, it's actually a gentleman who's hiking in this area and wanted to know if we minded if he camped down over here by the trees.
Yeah.
Knock
You
yourself
tell them there
out
was
there.
wolves
I
there?
did tell him there was wolves.
yeah.
Yeah. He said he just seen a bear just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We didn't see a bear, but a bear saw us. I'm
Yes,
sure.
he did.
Yeah, today.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And something else.
And something else
Janice
might have
says,
said.
Janice says the state doesn't want us to know how many wolves there really are.
Yeah. Well, you just have to come up here and just wander around. Everywhere you go, you're going to see wolf tracks on every road.
Yep.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground this week so far, and everywhere we went, we've seen wolf tracks everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we're not talking about little coyotes. We're talking about wolf prints that are as big as my coffee mug.
That's pretty big. Mike wants to know, he asks, you may have covered this. Have you ever found interesting foot tracks? If so, how large were they? Because I'm new to this.
Okay, so when we were up here in June, we found a 20-inch footprint that I didn't cast because it was really shallow.
Mhm.
But we decided to go back later, which is always a mistake.
That was a mistake.
It wasn't there, and that's happened to me more than once. That I had one track years ago when I first was doing this. I found a 16-inch track, and this is up in the Blue Mountains, and it was pristine. It was in mud. It was deep. It was gorgeous, and I didn't have casting
Mhm.
material with me, and I was working a job, so I had to drive back home, which was about 150 miles away, and then I had to wait all week for the weekend to get back out there, and grass had grown up through it, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
So
No, we found,
that's what I lost.
you know, lots of juvenile tracks up here. We found a 13 and a half inch female track that was with the little juveniles, and one of them, the little feet were only 4 inches long.
Yep.
And I didn't have any casting material with me. And those were in the mud around the lake, and they were pristine. I'm sure that some of your viewers, they've seen those pictures,
Yeah.
you know, that you posted. And we found one that we found a 14-inch track. We found lots of, well, today we found one that we thought was a 9-inch,
Well,
9.5 inch track. And then the little guy that plays around down there in our playground, he's got 8-inch feet.
Yeah, and we do have a cast of that of him.
We do. I've casted him.
We do have a cast of his footprint, and that was back in June.
Mhm.
Well, then. So are we going back to Scott, the other Scott's light
Yeah. Okay.
finally?
Well,
All right.
We had a light back up in Washington back in the 70s when we were teenagers. We used to go up and watch it, and it was called the fire trail light. You know, and the road that you'd see it on was this fire trail, and we've actually seen that light go over the top of trees and like follow you. You know, we out on the Indian reservation up there, the Tulalip Indian reservation. So. And we seen that light numerous times. I think you actually seen that light too, Spike.
Absolutely.
And it's just a glowing orb, and it's like tree height, you know. So,
And it will follow you.
and it will follow you.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I know I've said this before, but there is a Miwok legend from the Miwok tribe there outside of Yosemite National Park that everywhere Bigfoot goes, the light follows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
So maybe they're angels.
but where we were up in Leavenworth, where I saw the light, there were no Bigfoot there because a game warden had stopped earlier and told me so. I told you a story about
Yeah,
the game
you
warden.
did.
But I didn't tell you this part. He asked us why we were up there, and I said, "Well, we're Bigfoot researchers." He goes, "There ain't any Bigfoot up here."
He was really quick to say that.
Really quick
Yeah.
to say that.
Remember, there was no
Yeah.
water up there either.
Yeah, he said,
Yeah.
"There's no water up here, and there's no Bigfoot up here."
So.
Yeah.
And there's no wolves up here.
There were,
Or Squatch.
yeah, we didn't see anything up there.
Yeah, actually, we
not
didn't.
even a chipmunk.
No,
James Pearson says you're talking about Fire Trail.
Yes.
fire trail.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Hi,
Yeah.
James.
Hi,
Hey,
James.
James.
think
How you
we've
doing,
met,
Jim?
All right, so let's see.
And James has probably seen the light because he's from up there.
He's from up
And-
here.
And
Okay.
James was actually with me
Oh, okay.
when we were up deer hunting, and we had a Squatch come into our camp, and it was just out of sight, just out of the light. So, Mr. Pearson,
So, we got
hey,
some-
buddy.
So,
And that was down here in Oregon.
Donna says Donna's kind of keyed into Native American
Uh-huh.
and Earth. You know how she says, I believe the wolf and Bigfoot travel together. All the tracks I've seen of the family clan and cast have wolf tracks right next to it.
Huh. You think
Oh.
Bigfoot's the
You're
domesticated wolf?
James's dad.
Huh?
You're James's dad.
I'm James's dad.
Oh no, James Pearson said that's my dad.
Oh, that's Junior that's on there.
Oh,
Okay. All
All right.
right.
Junior.
Yeah.
Tell your dad I said hi.
Yeah. All right.
And that was James was up there. This James Jr. He was up there right before we had that Squatch come in and start screaming at us on the edge of our camp.
Okay.
Yeah, he just left. Kind of interesting.
Yeah. Okay, we've got some comments about shoot and shut up. The Bleeding Heart West Siders all talking about what the wolves are doing to the cattle and the deer and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
shoot and shut up.
Yeah. Shoot and scoop.
That's Renee talking. Just
Yeah.
shoot and shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a shovel in the back of my bike, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Log asks, based on the most credible reports describing Sasquatch, what are their facial hair characteristics?
Facial hair.
Facial.
All right. Well, if you've seen the Patty film, she had a full beard, basically. Hair around the upper lip and some of the face. Kind of very human-like facial hair. Not like a chimp, because chimp doesn't have face, on their snout and around their lips and stuff. But the Patty film does have. The ones I saw with my own eyes did have hair all over the face too.
What
Yeah.
was that sound over there?
That's what I was just asking
Yeah.
Spike. I said, "Did you hear that?"
Yeah, that was another thing that happened to us.
Yeah.
We have not seen, like I said, we had not seen a bird or anything up here all the time. And when we were up at which lake was that? That I forget. Was that
Calumet.
Calumet Lake?
Mhm.
We just give away our location. Okay, but anyway, when we were up at that lake, we did hear.
Janice said she heard it too.
Well, over
Did
on
you
my-
hear, did you hear it on the audio? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we heard one weird bird
Whistle. It
whistle.
was whistling at us.
Yeah, just once, and nothing else the whole time we were up here. But so that was another. We could chalk that up to another weird thing
Absolutely.
because I was trying to figure out what bird that was, and then
That was
realized
yesterday morning.
that
Yeah.
that was yesterday morning.
And that was not that Calumet Lake. It was the other one.
The other one,
The other
haha.
one.
Well,
Yeah.
So that's not where we're at.
It's not where we're at.
Yeah.
By the way,
But James, you know where we're at.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject something here. There are 26 of y'all on this and only 4 likes. So please, everyone go back and smash the like button, please. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, this is a great time to do it. Click the notification bell because people are getting dropped all the time. However, with that said, we are up to well over 2,500 subs. So thank you very much for
Nice.
your support.
Yep.
All right, back to y'all.
Back to y'all. Thank you for that station identification. Okay. I'm trying to see what else have we got. Nothing.
Should I ask you what Hannah always asks you? How much more time do we have?
How much more
She
time do
always
we?
asks you.
You got 11 minutes.
You got
so
11
11
minutes.
Okay.
I got to fill 11 minutes.
That's why I asked. So
Yeah.
Okay,
got
so
anything
I had
else, or-
one other thing we wanted to talk about is Scott came up with this brilliant thing that I had never thought of. So we were up hiking off trail a little bit,
Mhm.
and there was a down tree like this across the trail where we were walking. And Scott had the forethought just to stop and look under it.
Yep. Yeah.
So we pulled a whole bunch of white hair from under that tree. So as a tree that's like this, the trail goes under it. So something had to duck to
To
get
go
under, to
underneath
go
of
under
it.
it, and
Yep.
it rubbed its back on it.
Yep.
And I never have had the forethought in my brain to look underneath trees that are on the trail because stuff scrubs up
Yes.
against it.
Yeah, it wasn't deer hair, wasn't elk hair, guaranteed. You know,
Right.
this was almost like a white fur.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah, I would
yeah,
explain it. Very
furry.
fine and fur.
furry.
So,
And not straight. It was kind of
yeah,
curly.
and it
over.
was probably 5.5 feet off of the ground, so it would have to been something sizable
Yeah.
to rub its back on it.
Yeah.
So,
So whatever rubbed its back would have to be over 5 foot tall.
absolutely,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
The back would have to be over
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
foot tall. So we do have those hairs, and I haven't pulled them out of my pack yet. We collected them. I haven't looked at them under the microscope because stuff is coming hard and fast this week.
It
And
is.
it is crazy. So
And more to come.
And more
Hopefully,
to come.
hopefully
Yeah.
tomorrow.
hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we've got let's see, you're out of here Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday morning
Saturday.
early.
Nighthawk is William Nighthawk is here, and he said, "No, not the dreaded white yeti."
Well,
Yeah.
that hair is interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's got no color to
Yeah,
it at
yeah.
all. It's
It's
just
about as white as
totally.
my beard.
That's
Yeah.
what I told Scott. I said, "You've been up here rubbing your chin
Chin
on the
on
log."
logs, yeah. 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 So that's going to be interesting. Yeah.
And we were way off trail.
Yeah.
There, we were not on the road or near.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We're what's interesting is we do get reports of people seeing white Bigfoot.
Mhm.
And it's not the fact that they're Yetis. It's just like old men have white hair, you know, and
Mhm.
there's probably old men Bigfoot.
But what does
Yeah.
that have to do with the lack of a medulla and the possible transparency of the hair shaft?
Yeah. Well, that's when Scott.
That's another thing.
He's
too.
going to analyze it.
Yeah, we're
look
gonna
at
we're
it.
gonna look at it under the microscope and see if it has a medulla in
Yeah.
it. But
Okay.
I don't think it does.
I
I
know.
mean, looking
have you
at
ever
that,
seen old bears with white hair?
I have.
You have?
Yeah, I've shot bears that were salt and pepper,
Uh-huh.
colored.
It means they braced a lot of kids.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Did you have another? Oh,
No,
that was it. Okay.
no. But we're 8 minutes out. How are we going to entertain these fine people?
Well,
It's like when you
Can
have
you
your
dance?
PowerPoint that you swear is going to take 3 hours to get through. You're
yeah,
done
they
within
get
10
through
minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah. So
I know your Footprint Friday coming up, guys. It's going to have a lot of PowerPoints.
yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a
think
whole
they'll
lot
be
of stuff
impressed.
coming.
I think they'll be impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just some personal face-to-face experiences this weekend.
Yeah.
This week.
It's just killing me not spilling the
I know.
It's one of those things that there was so much that happened today
Yeah.
that, it's probably, you could say that most researchers haven't experienced that in probably 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And you get literally all in a matter of hours.
But don't spill the beans.
I won't spill
no,
beans.
no, but you got a good point. It
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because what I experienced today, I would say there's a lot of researchers out there that probably may not have experienced it or seen it,
Yeah.
seen things like we saw today. Yeah.
Well, it's been that way the last 2 times you and I've been up together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been one thing after another. It's just lots of evidence that we're investigating.
yes.
That's
Well,
right.
it's just things that, when you're out in the woods that you see that you would just take for granted. Now you have answers to that, why the things are the way they are. And it's an eye opener, especially, hunting with you all those years
Mhm.
and then going, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes sense now.
Mhm. Yeah. Have you had anything experience like that?
I mean, there's a lot of things that, yeah. So I went elk hunting with Nick. He was when I lived down in Vancouver, and we went up to Mount St. Helens.
Mhm.
And what I noticed, and you actually confirmed it with me today, was I guess you could say gouges or claw marks in the trees that were
Yep.
so high up that
Mhm.
you know, I thought, you know, and I was thinking at the time, there's no way a bear could do that. You know, there
Yeah.
was no way a cat would be able to do that.
Mhm.
And, you know, when we initially got up there, he had like a camp stove. And I remember telling you this earlier today that it was literally crushed, you know, and of course my reasoning for that was, you know, he must have been cooking something in there or on the stove that, you know, a bear smell wanted to get into. But then there were the screams that came that night.
Mhm.
He leaves, I'm stuck there. You know,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
that was my experience. But you know, the screams were loud, you know. But I didn't hear anything else in that. And, you know, you're trying to justify, oh, it might be a cat. Well, you know, I've heard cats screaming it now, and it's not a cat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely a distinct difference.
Yeah.
Right.
But the gouges were the thing that just really today sticks out in my mind. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it was impressive.
Yeah.
So you'll be looking at every tree different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the
you know,
tree
and
breaks and
then some of the stuff
Yeah.
that you've actually shown me where, you know, you're out in the forest and you see a rock that may weigh 500 pounds. Why is it on that log?
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's not from an avalanche. It's not from, you know, something else. It's been placed there,
Yeah.
you know, and I think they like to play games like that,
you do.
you know.
Yep.
And today was definitely, it was a warning. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind.
We didn't find any boulders on logs today, but I can show
No.
you places where there is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's an eye opener. You
Right.
know, when you just if you're strolling through the woods and all of a sudden you find a 500-pound boulder sitting on
Right.
top of a 4-foot log that's
Yeah.
laid down. It's like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
Right.
How'd it get there?
But then there's also times, you know, when you're out deer hunting, you know, when you're a lot younger, where all of a sudden the forest is completely quiet and you get this almost eerie feeling that something is watching you.
Yeah. We get that here.
Yes. Oh yeah.
don't we?
Yeah.
And where you're just, you know, you're like, okay, well, why is the whole forest just all of a sudden just completely quiet? I mean, like where your power goes off in your house type quiet, but more so.
Yeah. Not a bird.
No.
Not anything.
Not anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
William asks, find any good scratching post trees from bear rubs or just wolves?
You know, we did see some rubs on
Yeah,
trees.
yeah.
You know, it's like you just never know
Right.
what caused it. You know, we found lots of elk rubs today. You know,
Yeah.
where the elk had been shredding bushes. Yesterday we found some elk rubs too when we
Yeah.
were out cruising around looking.
Yeah. Elk do that to get the velvet off
Mhm.
in the springtime, and then I think they rattle trees this time of year too. For
Yeah, they're still scraping.
yeah.
And we've heard some elk bugle. too.
Yeah, we did hear elk bugle last night.
Mhm.
So they are here. We've seen footprints, you know, hoofprints, not footprints,
All
but
right.
Yeah, lots of hoofy prints. this
lots of
week.
hoofy
Well,
prints.
guess what?
What?
You have successfully managed to keep their attention.
Oh, yay.
We are 90 seconds out from
Oh,
the
no,
end.
my gosh. So,
This is what a Squatch America squatching trip looks like, by the way. So
yeah. And just a reminder, we do have some veterans coming up this weekend that come up with us, because we are part of the Fallen Outdoors. And like I said, all the money we get from YouTube and from our Patreon and any of your what's those chat things, super thanks and things like that on YouTube go towards us being able to take these veterans out bigfooting.
anyway, with that said, get your button ready.
I'm already there.
Please, that our job is to investigate the unexplained.
Not to explain the uninvestigated.
So thank you so much for watching and putting up with us and being part of our lives and our squatching and all of the things. And you keep watching.
And we'll
Go
keep
keep
squatching. And go out and find Bigfoot.
Bye.
Bye.